Okay, listen up. If you work in construction in Scotland, or heck, even if you just know someone who does, this is for you. We're going to break down exactly what your rights are if the worst happens on a job site.
So, let's set the scene first. And look, this is no exaggeration. Construction sites are year after year one of the most dangerous places you can possibly work in Scotland, period.
But why? What makes them so uniquely dangerous? Well, it's this crazy mix of things all happening at once. You've got heavy, powerful machinery all around you. You've got people working way up high. And the site itself, it's constantly changing. What was safe an hour ago might not be now. All that together creates a kind of perfect storm of risk that's pretty much unmatched.
And this is the tough part. These are the real-world consequences. We're talking about the leading causes of fatal injuries. Falls from height, being struck by something moving. Every single one of these is a tragedy that could have been prevented. It really drives home the dangers people are facing every single day they clock in.
Okay, so given all that risk, what's being done about it? Well, the good news is the law has built this really powerful safety net. And it's not just a bunch of vague suggestions either. We're talking about a solid framework of rights and protections built just for workers on these sites.
The absolute foundation of this whole thing is something called the common law duty of care. Now, think of it like this. It's the fundamental promise your employer has to make to you. They have a basic duty to make sure you have a safe place to work, a safe way of doing your job, and that your colleagues actually know what they're doing. And here's the key part. They can't just pass the buck. That responsibility is theirs.
All right, so on top of that foundation, we get more specific. You've got the CDM regulations from 2015. This is the big one, folks. This is literally the official rulebook for safety on construction sites. And its main job is to eliminate any confusion. It lays out, in black and white, who is responsible for what, from the person paying for the project all the way down. And it doesn't even stop there. Beyond the main rulebook, there's a whole library of other regulations for specific, high-risk jobs. We're talking rules for working at height, rules for heavy lifting, handling hazardous stuff, even down to what kind of protective gear you need to be wearing. That safety net is incredibly detailed, believe me.
Okay, so we've got this great safety net, but what happens when it fails? What happens when an accident does occur? Well, what you do in those first few moments and hours is absolutely crucial. And I mean crucial not just for your health, but for protecting your legal rights later on.
It really boils down to 4 key steps. Number 1, and this is non-negotiable, seek medical care. I don't care if you think it's just a scratch, get checked out. Number 2, report the accident. Get it in the official site logbook. Number 3, and this is so important, preserve any evidence you can. And number 4, get some specialist legal advice from someone who actually gets how these things work.
And that third step, preserving evidence, you have to understand why it's so urgent. There's a great way to put it. The physical evidence can disappear very quickly. I mean, think about it. A construction site is a living thing. That scaffolding might be gone tomorrow. That trench could be filled in. The scene of the accident can be completely different by the next day. So grabbing photos, getting names of witnesses, that stuff is pure gold. All right, so let's get into the tricky part. Who's actually responsible? Figuring out who's at fault on a busy construction site is, well, it's complicated. It's almost never as simple as pointing a finger at one person. It's usually this complex web of different companies and people, all with a piece of the responsibility.
This chart kind of helps us untangle that web. You've got the principal contractor. They're the ones with the big picture responsibility for the whole site. Then you have your employer, who has a direct duty to you for your safety. But it goes even further. The client, the person paying for the whole thing, and even the architects and designers, they all have legal duties to think about safety from the very start. So an accident could be the fault of any one of these, or even a combination of them.
Which, of course, brings up a massive question. Because what about all the self-employed folks out there, a huge part of the workforce? Do these same rights and protections apply to them? The answer is a big, fat yes, absolutely. But the process is a little different. See, if you're an employee, your claim is usually against your direct boss. But if you're self-employed, you don't have a boss in the same way, right? So your claim would be against whoever was in control of the site. That's usually the principal contractor or maybe another contractor on site who is negligent. The bottom line is the rights are there for everyone.
Okay, so let's move on to the final piece of the puzzle, compensation. What is the actual goal of making a claim? It's about getting compensation to cover the harm that's been done. And it's not just about one lump sum of cash, it's designed to cover all the different ways the accident has affected you.
Generally, compensation gets split into two main buckets. The first has a fancy legal name, solatium, but all that really means is money for the injury itself, for the pain, the suffering, and how it's messed with your life. The second bucket is called special damages, and that one's much more straightforward. That's for all the financial stuff you can put a number on. Lost wages, medical bills, travel costs, you name it.
Now, before we wrap up, there is one last, absolutely critical number I need you to burn into your memory. Just one. And it's this.
3. That's how many years you have from the date of the accident to make a claim. And let me be clear, this is a hard, strict deadline. There are no extensions. If you miss it, your right to claim compensation is gone forever. That's why it is so important to get advice as soon as you can.
And that really brings us full circle to a final thought. We talk a lot about the obvious safety gear, the hard hats, the steel-toed boots, the high-vis vests. But after everything we've gone over today, all the rules, the responsibilities, the legal safety net, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? On a dangerous site, maybe the most important safety tool you have isn't something you wear at all. Maybe it's knowing your rights.